Okay, I'm super excited. So do I just go ahead and get going?
Yeah, the technology's working, please.
Yeah, okay. So hello, my name is Morgan Soelberg, and for my senior capstone this semester, I've been working on a textbook for the FCS 245 beginner pattern making class. The textbook is still under a working title as it's not yet published, and so we're expecting probably a few changes before we get to that point. A little bit of background on myself. So my major within the interdisciplinary capstone studies, my major is called FCS Apparel Entrepreneurship, which is basically a blend of business and fashion design and construction. And I started this major back in the fall of 2018. And when I started the major, there was a classmate of mine named Alex that we started the major at the same time with. And throughout the course of my education in the program, we were in a couple of classes together. I chose this project with Alex and Sister Orm, actually. Alex and Sister Orm had come up with the idea of the project, and then they brought me on. And I was really intrigued at creating a textbook for the male students in the major. The current FCS 245 class, Beginner in Pattern Making, it has a textbook already that focuses on female pattern making, so a lot of knowing how to manipulate darts for the female body, skirts, etc. And so for this project, the idea is to make a textbook that focuses on male pattern making. As I went through my classes at BYU-Idaho throughout the program, I saw that there were quite a few male students in the program. It did surprise me, just because I never anticipated there to be a lot of guys interested in the degree, but it really excited me to know that there were a lot of guys interested in pattern making. And the textbook that we have for the class currently, it does not cater to the male body, and that's what this textbook focuses on. Some of my personal qualifications for working on this project are, of course, that I've been in the major. I've taken the pattern making course. I took it back in fall of 2019. That class actually got me really interested in pursuing pattern making as a career. My plan is to have my own pattern making business, creating indie pattern designs that I would then market myself and sell online. I've had a number of personal projects as well as school projects where I have had experience in pattern making, and I currently work at a company in Blackfoot called Dawn as a pattern designer for their company. Getting started, Alex and I met to first talk about what our ideas were for the project. The plan is to create this textbook that focuses on the male body. So we would learn how to pattern and create what's called a sloper for male students. A sloper is, it's basically a shape that you create at the beginning of pattern making that is used to conform to the male figure. So we also determined that for this textbook, we wanted to focus on creating different design aspects for male students, such as different ways to design a collar or a cuff, button placket, etc. So at the start of the semester, Alex and I, we worked out how we were going to split up the work. The goal end product, like I said, was to create this nearly completed textbook that would then be revised and prepared for publication and printing for use at the university. Some of the project process, at the beginning, it was a lot of research on how current male pattern making books are structured. Here is a list of different textbooks that I used to do that research. There's, of course, the beginning pattern making textbook that Sister Orm and a few others worked on. That is the existing one for the glass. There are also a couple of books called Pattern Making for Menswear. One of those is shown here. I also used a textbook called Fashionpedia by Fashionary. The main bulk of that research was to create a streamlined method of creating this sloper. The remainder of my time spent this semester was working on design, on various graphics, and the page layout of the book. Excuse me. Here are some sample pages found in the textbook. I used a program called Procreate on the iPad to create the graphics. What we see here are instructions on how to take measurements and some diagrams on where to find those measurements. On the right side of the screen, there is, I don't know if you can see that, my camera's in the way, the process of creating the male sloper based on the measurements that have been taken. This is just a page talking about the different interdisciplinary influences of my project. Like I said, my major is a combination of business and apparel design and construction. With business, I've also had experience professionally through my the internship that I'm working on right now, and also just some different leadership positions that I've had working various jobs. That experience helped me to learn how to manage content and how to teach, which was especially important for learning how to create a textbook. My apparel design and construction expertise obviously helped in knowing how to present the information, what information was needed to present. And then actually before I changed my major to this current one, I used to be a communications student doing visual design and communication, and that really helped with being able to design the textbook. Some challenges and roadblocks. So halfway through the semester, my partner actually had to leave the project. This condensed what we anticipated to be over 100 hours of work on the textbook down to my allotted 50 hours. In total, I've spent over 60 hours on the project. A lot of that being the research and just catching up on the parts that my partner Alex had initially been allotted to work on. Let's see, just moving my camera again. Yeah, the challenges of this semester, it kind of hit me hard halfway through the semester. I was also recovering from being sick, but it really helped me to kind of just experience a real world scenario where things don't go as expected. Yeah, it was fun. Unfortunately, I wasn't very communicative with my mentor, Sister Orm, on where I was with the project, and that has also been a challenge just for myself, self-inflicted, and something that I am working on. So various takeaways from the project. Of course, I really enjoyed being able to have this huge project to work on. It really helps me understand just the scope of large-scale projects. It obviously helps me for my future career goals of being a small business owner. This is really exciting to be able to have worked on a textbook. I think it's great for my future resume and just different things that I'm able to present to employers. And yeah, that's about what I have. Are there any questions?
I'll ask a question. So you are writing a textbook. What has been the most challenging aspect? You mentioned some challenges, overall in the project, but when you're actually writing a textbook and trying to explain to somebody else how to do this through writing, what have you found to be your greatest challenge, and how did you overcome that?
So my biggest challenge with writing the content has been just the fact that I'm a visual learner. I'm not someone that reads to learn. I need to be able to feel things and to see things and have it shown to me. One of the things I've done to overcome that, my husband is actually a process content creator with his university job that he's got. So I would actually physically, while I was patterning, I would show him what I was doing, explain the process through my own words, and then he would help me to develop how to convey that over text appropriately. Another really hard part for me was just the fact that we do have some male patterning books that I listed earlier in the slides, and being able to read what they had, it was really easy for my brain to say, oh, there's no other way to explain this. And so I would have to just kind of figure out how to reword it, rework it. Some of the future plans for the project as it continues along in progress is to create videos on that would be published to kind of visually show what is being done.
Great, thank you.
I'm not sure of questions to ask. You did a really nice job presenting some pretty technical material, at least to my mind. So I can see where this represents a gap in the literature, and that you've worked with Sister Orm to fill that gap, which is pretty cool. I appreciated the fact that you self-disclosed some of the challenges that you've had and recognized where you need to improve, and those are good traits as well, whether you're working for yourself or in partnership with someone else or for someone. I guess the last thing I'll ask, or the one thing I'll ask, is, of all the areas that you drew on to accomplish this work, what sort of do you feel is the best fit for you? What do you enjoy the most?
I definitely enjoy the design the most. I love being able to take an idea in my head and then create it physically or even digitally. So the hardest part for me was the writing. The easiest part for me was the creating of the graphics and just being able to make it pretty.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Really interesting.
I have one more question. In your slides, you said there was a bullet point that said the work from the beginning of the semester needs to be redone. Can you explain that?
Mm-hmm. So at the start of the semester, before I had learned that Alex was not able to continue, I had started creating different charts and graphs. I have a large measurement chart that shows the basic measurements for different sizes, industry standard sizes for the different, body proportions. So I had created that towards the beginning of the semester. I spent a lot of time developing that, and then afterward, so I had a graph there on the Gantt chart on the progression of what was supposed to happen. Later on in the semester, I changed some of the details in the book, and so I had to go back and research more and change that graph of the size charts. That was a kind of a challenge for me. I was scouring online trying to find standardized size charts that I could pull reference from. A lot of the charts didn't have the specific measurements that I was looking for. So it was a lot of back and forth trying to find the specific information and just redoing that original work that I had done.
And now you're ready to be a textbook writer for your future?
I guess. It's exciting.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like after the first one, it'll definitely be easier.
Yeah, that's true. Well done, Morgan. I'm excited to see your final product. I'm sure Sister Orm is as well.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.